Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
This episode, we're going to be kind of doing a viewer question again about food as healing. Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
And we kind of have another viewer question comment episode. And this one was based upon our food episode.
Yeah,
and it's about food as healing.
Right.
Or other ways to heal besides your cleric healing or your potions, to brew potions.
In your RPG.
Right.
So, there's always issues if you don't have a healer in your game. Okay?
Or maybe your healer's run out of healing.
Or maybe your healer has burned all the spells up. Okay, so one thing you can do, of course, is try to buy healing potions. Okay? Which, if you don't have a lot of money, it's kind of hard. Or you can burn through potions pretty quickly if you're in a bad fight.
Or maybe you're in a small town location that doesn't have that
doesn't have stuff like that. So you can either just, throw stuff down in the game and say, oh, well, you can go to the local temple and buy stuff, or you can try to work your way around that. And that's why we talk about food as healing. Could you create food items in your game that would, heal? Especially like heal overnight or heal over a day or two.
A few extra hit points.
That could give you, extra hit points. And one of the examples, of course, in like D&D was good berries.
Yeah.
I think it was like 1 hit point a berry or something like that.
Yeah, 1 or 2 hit point a berry.
But if you had 3 or 4 good berries, if you ate them a couple times a day, well, you'd get some hit points back, and it can make a big difference.
Yeah, that's quite a useful spell, in fact.
Yeah.
And it is a food item.
It's a food item that heals.
Druid takes a berry and turns it into a magical healing and sustenance.
Now, one of the things we can kind of mention is, in your RPG game, you would have food as healing, but in computer games, especially if anybody here has played any Bethesda computer games.
Well, Baldur's Gate, and there's many other computer role
Skyrim, Starfield, all the other. There's always ways to brew up food for healing.
Yeah.
Who doesn't walk around in Skyrim with 500 stews, in your pouch that you could just eat them one after another?
Yeah. In fact, I think even the Pathfinder RPG, Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, I think food.
Yeah.
Can be used as healing.
Oh yeah, I mean even in let's say for instance Starfield. In Starfield you can make alien jerky, alien tea, alien stew, that sort of thing. It gives you boosts and benefits and healing.
Fallout, that's another one.
Fallout's another. Now Fallout is a big one.
Yeah.
You eat food for benefits. Now of course you always take radiation damage a lot of times, unless you take the feat where you can eat anything.
Yeah.
But food items, because you may not have any sort of medicinal healing. You may not have what are those called? The syringes.
Stim pack.
Stim pack. You may not have a stim pack. You may be running out. So what do? Well, you eat like Spuckies, or you may eat the scram or cram. Or you may drink liquor, something like that to help you out.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of way like you have food items, and so Delaney and I were thinking about what about stuff in the real world that we inhabit.
Yeah. So in the real world, we always think of you got a really bad cold or a flu. Well, you eat chicken soup or chicken broths.
Right. Now, for one, I mean, chicken broth can make you feel better. The steam from them, the hot stuff, can clear your sinuses. It usually tends to be pretty salty.
Honey and lemon if you got a sore throat.
Well, now I can attest to that right now. That honey and lemon in tea will help a sore throat. It really does.
Even not a spoonful.
Yeah, it really does soothe a sore throat. It really does. Honey is really a good cure-all for a lot of things, especially respiratory issues.
Yeah, vinegar's another one.
Yeah. So I mean, there are things that you can consume that really can help you heal. In the real world, there's many things like eating certain type of vegetables can get your iron. You can eat fruits that can give you your fibers. You can heal. You can feel better.
Right.
The main thing, of course, is lower your blood pressure. The main thing, of course, is like comfort food. How does comfort food make? Well, it makes you feel better psychologically. Okay,
yeah.
And a lot of times, if you feel better psychologically, you can feel better physically. I know that from my own personal life, is if I'm feeling down or depressed, I don't feel good physically. But if I feel better, and sometimes food can do this, you make you feel better psychologically, physically, then you can feel better. You've got more energy, you've got more engagement, you want to, do things more, you feel better all in general. So, food as comfort food and food as a way of healing, has a basis in reality. It truly does.
Right. So in games, in our games, you've got skills that you could use. Maybe you got the cook skill, or you got the herbalist skill, what allows you to do certain things. Now, in my last campaign, the characters actually didn't get to start off with a cleric in the first few sessions of the game.
Yeah.
They all had to start off as fighter class, and then once they got to the next level, which was deemed as myself, once they finished the adventure, then they got to go into the class that they had been assigned to play.
Right.
And so without healing, what do you do when you get the living snot beat out of you in a fight? Well, you're going to be dead soon.
You have to find something.
Yeah, you don't have potions.
Yeah.
So what I had come up with was a way for them to create healing potions.
Yeah.
And it required 3 skill checks. It required an herbalism, it required a healing check, and it required a survival check.
Mm-hmm.
So the survival check was to find the herbs. The herbalism part was to mix the potion up properly, and then the healing part was mixing it all together to make the right concoction to heal.
Yeah, and how, what was it? What would its healing value actually be?
Yeah.
Was it 1d8 plus 2? Was it 2d6 plus 1? Something like that. What would its actual potency be?
It started off as the base was a 1d4.
Okay.
And then it went to a 1d6, and then it went to a 1d8.
Yeah.
Now, based upon the numbers that they rolled in each one, if they made a number over, and they could assist each other, and they did. This is the party working together.
Yeah, we did. We
working
made a
together.
lot of survival rolls.
Yeah,
man.
to make the
really
potions.
did,
Now the potions didn't last forever. They would degrade over time.
Yeah, we had to use them pretty quickly.
Yeah,
And that was a really smart thing that you did. Is to keep the potions from lasting forever. We had to use them within the next few days. Otherwise, they begin to degrade, and we have to start making more. Now, that's the way you use the situation to keep from overpowering your group, so that you're not walking around with a bag full of 40 potions.
Right.
Right? Eventually, they're going to all break down and turn into nothing, and you've got to chunk them.
Right. And then here they were in the dead of winter, so it was hard to make the checks.
Oh yeah.
To find the herbs that they needed, or supplement.
I remember making a lot of survival checks. Going out, looking for berries, looking for herbs.
And they didn't do this every session.
No, but we did it quite a bit during our regular mundane play between quests. As we were traveling from place to place, we dug through the snow, we foraged around looking for different herbs, looking for things. And this is all to build a kind of a stockpile of potions that we could use in our fights, because we didn't have a healer.
Yeah. And it worked quite well.
Yeah, we drank a lot of potions. I mean, we made a lot of potions.
Yeah.
So
it also helped supplement the clerics from always having to be the healer.
Yeah. I've played a cleric a lot, and usually I try to keep my clerics from being heal bots. But if you do a lot of combat, essentially your cleric almost always ends up being a heal bot, one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've heard people say, well, I'm more of a battle priest. I'm more of a battle cleric. Until everybody in the place gets chewed up and you're like, all right, I guess I better start taking some of these healing spells, because otherwise we're all going to die. It's like, maybe you should start looking at converting healing spells, that kind of thing. 3.5 and Pathfinder allowed you to convert certain spells and back into healing spells. So you could drop off spells that you didn't use and turn them back into healing spells. And I always thought that was very clever. A very good way to use up spell slots is that you could just turn around and start using, heal, and you'd get, people would get 2d8 plus 3, healing spells. If you didn't use your,
if the cleric didn't have the burst
Yeah, if you didn't have burst, or if you didn't use up all your spells that day, you convert those spell slots into healing spells.
Yeah.
Pretty clever.
Now in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, there is a Ranger Feat, which is the natural healing, and that's being able to basically go out and look for the herbs, kind of like what I did in the one campaign, which allows a ranger then to do 1d8 or 2d8 points of healing.
Now we have healing lore, right, in Pathfinder 2? I think there's healing lore.
There might be some healing lore.
Yeah, and I'm not sure really. And with healing lore in Pathfinder 2, I'm not really sure how that works. Whether or not it gives you... I know you can roll, you can make lore rolls, but, does it allow you to make potions easier or something like that? I don't know.
I think it allows you to do a little bit of healing, like the ranger natural healing skill.
Now, so what is the natural healing skill? What do you do? Do you use herbs?
Yeah, it's basically describing using herbs as the healing. So why not use it, use food as the same method?
Sure.
As we're talking about food as healing,
yeah.
Maybe characters, you don't give them a lot. Maybe they have their iron rations, and maybe they only get 1d3 points of healing from eating an iron ration for a night. But
yeah,
it's still something rather than nothing.
See, I've always liked the idea of having someone in your group who's like profession cook. And what if they make a really good meal? Would that, everyone who partakes of it, then would they get extra healing that night? An extra D4, an extra D6 healing because, it's like a feast. It made you feel better.
Yeah.
That's why you have a character who's a cook in your group. They may be a fighter, but yet they also have the cook skill. And so they're able to cook, a really good meal and heal people.
Well, in true modern age, too, we know that good food can help you heal better. If you're eating nothing but garbage food, you're not going to heal as fast.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
all you're doing is drinking beer and eating hot dogs, you're not going to heal up as fast as somebody who's getting a nice piece of roast chicken and some steamed vegetables.
No, that's true.
And
that's true.
Bread and and a little bit of fruit.
Yeah, and it kind of comes down to how your body uses its fuel. What it does with it. That sort of thing. So.
When you start off in the hospital, you usually start off with icky food because just trying to get your body used to it, and then they start bringing the better food for you.
Yeah. To answer the question of how do we handle food as healing, I really think that in our campaigns we always come up with some way to make it work within the role playing, whether it's creating feasts, whether it's hunting and feeding everybody good food, whether it's something like that. It always ends up being a part of our role playing and part of our healing.
I've never done food as healing with the exception of the herbal potion.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a good idea? Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea if you don't have a cleric or you don't have a specified healer, your druid or whatever.
Yeah.
To have somebody who can do healing based upon food that the party eats, because we know how much better we all feel once we have a good meal.
I seem to remember on one of the pirate campaigns where I had Big Lovely, who was my cook, that he was able to create, because he had the cooking skill, and he was able to create a feast out of almost nothing. That was one of his skills. Yeah. The trade-off was that he couldn't use weapons. His weapon was basically a club. I think he had a meat cleaver. Mm-hmm. That's all he had, but he had to use improvised weapons. But he was able to create feasts that improved the well-being of the crew, made them happier, made their fighting. It kept them from being fatigued. A lot of stuff like that, and I really liked those benefits. I thought they worked really well with the story.
Yeah, and you can do it in any system.
Sure, absolutely.
There are systems out there that I'm not that familiar with them, so I can't specify which ones because I don't play a lot of other systems. But the ones that I'm familiar with don't have that. But could you do it? Absolutely.
Sure.
It's your game.
Yeah.
And I would invite you to do whatever you need to do to help your party out. I'm not a. I'll say this because I've said this before. Is I don't believe in killing off my players. I believe in creating a good adventure. If you do something stupid, you're going to die. But I'm not going out to kill my players. And if it means I can help them, like I did with the healing potion.
Yeah.
To get them by, because I needed to come up with a way for them to be able to heal, then, if it was going to be food or whether it was going to be a potion that they could put together, an herbal potion, kind of an alchemical compound, then that's what I was going to do.
Now, we've run into DMs before who like they really laugh it up when they have a TPK. A TPK is a total party kill. And I've never agreed with that. I've always thought the point here is to have fun. So we'd really like to hear more from folks what you think about food as healing and how you handle that in your game. You know, do you supplement healing with food items, or do you allow characters to create their own healing items through food or meals? I mean, I think it'd be really interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I'm actually very pro for that. If the party says, "Hey, we're going to put together a good meal. Can we get some healing out of that?" It may not be much. It may be a D6. Per
Sometimes
person.
it doesn't have
Each
to
person rolls their D6, and that's what you get. But,
Sometimes it doesn't have to be a bunch of healing. Sometimes it's enough to get you back up full level.
Yeah.
And that can make all the difference.
But yeah, I'm all for it. So anyway, thanks for watching this episode of Wizards of the Tower.
Role play.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, spread the word, ring the bell, leave a comment, follow us on Discord, and or send us an email or leave us a comment on a future episode that maybe you'd like to see us do.
Sure.
We'll take note of that. We always respond to every one of your comments, even if it's just a simple, "Hey, thanks for commenting." Sometimes we'll get a little bit more detailed depending upon your comment. But anyway, may all your adventures be a feast.
And keep on eating.